Thousands of years ago, human beings built machines, structures, and devices that seem surprisingly advanced for their time. We're talking about feats of ancient engineering that are still incredibly difficult for modern science to fully explain. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are diving into a genuine historical mystery, and we're strictly following the actual archaeological evidence. Which brings us to the big central question we have to ask. How did ancient people accomplish all of this without modern technology? Now, to be clear, we aren't talking about myths here, and we're definitely not talking about aliens. We're going to examine real physical artifacts to carefully separate what historians actually know from what remains a total mystery.
Section 1. The Antikythera Mechanism.
Okay, picture this. It's the spring of 1901. A group of Greek sponge divers seeking shelter from a storm stumble upon a 2,000-year-old shipwreck near the tiny island of Antikythera. Inside, a heavily corroded, kind of unassuming lump of bronze. But decades later, advanced X-rays revealed something literally shocking hidden inside that calcified rock. A highly advanced, intricate system of dozens of interlocking bronze gears dating roughly to the 2nd or 1st century BCE. Just let that sink in for a second. This level of microscopic precision and mechanical complexity was thought to be entirely impossible for its era. It completely shatters our modern assumptions about the limits of ancient engineering. Using cutting-edge 3D X-ray imaging, modern researchers have actually managed to painstakingly reconstruct its hidden functions. And what they found is basically a hand-powered analog computer. By turning a little side crank, the user could engage a complex gear train to calculate precise astronomical cycles, track moon phases, and predict eclipses decades in advance. It even accounted for the variable speed of the moon's orbit, but the mystery is far from solved. While we now get its staggering purpose, the original design details, like the genius who actually built it, the exact tools they used, and why this level of technology seemingly vanished for another 1,000 years, well, that's all still fiercely debated. Section 2. Secrets of Roman Concrete. Let's pivot from bronze gears to the massive scale of material engineering. The Roman Empire built its vast infrastructure using their own revolutionary form of concrete. And the contrast with our modern world is just baffling. Think about it. Today's modern concrete, even when heavily reinforced with steel rebar, often starts cracking and decaying after just a few decades, especially near seawater. Yet, unreinforced ancient Roman structures, like the massive dome of the Pantheon or their giant seawalls, have survived beautifully for nearly 2,000 years. So what was their secret? We know they used a specific volcanic ash mixed with lime, but scientists recently figured out something absolutely brilliant about their methods. By using a technique called hot mixing with quicklime, the Romans created a concrete that actually self-heals. When microcracks form and water seeps in, the dormant lime reacts, crystallizes, and literally seals the fracture itself. It's incredible. Modern material scientists are actively trying to reverse engineer this recipe, but the exact thermal processes and manufacturing methods those ancient builders mastered are still being heavily investigated today. Section 3. The Damascus Steel Mystery. Now let's talk ancient metallurgy. Here we have blacksmiths controlling materials at an absolute master level. The mystery of true Damascus steel. Famed across the ancient world, these legendary blades possessed extraordinary strength, crazy sharpness, and this beautiful flowing water pattern rippling across the surface. Originally forged using specialized wood steel from India, the historical production involved complex thermal cycling techniques. But these were closely guarded secrets passed down by masters that were eventually just lost to time when trade routes shifted and the specific ores ran out. And we need to make a crucial distinction here. If you buy a knife today that's marketed as Damascus steel, you are almost certainly getting a modern pattern-welded product. That just means different types of modern steel are folded and acid-etched to mimic that ancient rippled look. It's gorgeous, for sure, but the genuine historical method is a totally lost art. Modern electron microscopes actually found carbon nanotubes inside the ancient blades. It's a level of ancient chemical mastery that modern science is still trying to perfectly replicate. Section 4. The Baghdad Battery Hypothesis. Next up, we have to look at a fascinating artifact discovered near Baghdad in 1936, generally dated to the Parthian or Sasanian period. Sticking strictly to the physical archaeological evidence, the artifact is just 3 simple components: a 5-inch ceramic clay vessel, a hollow copper cylinder tucked inside, and a single oxidized iron rod suspended right in the center. That is the literal reality of what was pulled out of the earth. Now, because of how these specific metals interact, some researchers propose that if you filled the jar with an acidic liquid, like vinegar or grape juice, it could have produced a small electrical current. But listen closely, because we have to be absolutely clear on this. Calling this an ancient battery is a hypothesis, not an established fact. Its actual historical purpose remains completely uncertain. Mainstream archaeologists suggest it might have just been used to store and protect sacred scrolls. We have to follow the evidence, and right now, the evidence leaves us with a fascinating, unsolved question mark. Section 5. Masterpieces of Ancient Engineering. Beyond single artifacts, we've got to look at how ancient civilizations systematically solved massive, everyday engineering problems. You have the sprawling Roman aqueducts, using slight, continuous gravity over dozens of miles to supply millions of gallons of fresh water. You've got ancient underground water systems that revolutionized desert survival. And think about the incredibly precise stone cutting of the Incas, or the advanced lifting techniques of the Egyptians moving monolithic blocks. These aren't examples of impossible magic. This is undeniable, brilliant craftsmanship. These monumental achievements definitely didn't happen overnight. They were the result of generations of practical knowledge, complex mathematics, and relentless engineering trial and error. These ancient builders optimized the raw materials and tools they had to absolute perfection. And honestly, this seamlessly blends right into the real revelation of our explainer. Section 6. The real lost technology. When we bring all these pieces together, from the astronomical gears of Antikythera to the self-healing concrete of Rome, we arrive at the true mystery. How much ancient technical knowledge has simply been lost to time? How were these insanely complex techniques passed from generation to generation without the internet or vast printed libraries? Why did some of these technologies completely disappear from the historical record for centuries? Did these craftsmen implicitly understand physical principles that they just never bothered to write down? It really forces us to shift our whole paradigm. The biggest mystery here isn't that ancient people somehow secretly possessed modern technology. The profound mystery is actually the incredibly fragile nature of human knowledge itself. These civilizations possessed highly sophisticated, specialized knowledge, but it was largely passed down through vulnerable oral traditions, whispered from master to apprentice, or hidden in exclusive guilds. When great empires fell or when those lineages simply broke, that highly advanced, irreplaceable knowledge was just permanently forgotten. Section 7. The Legacy of Ancient Ingenuity. So what's the ultimate takeaway here? Ancient people were absolutely not primitive, unevolved versions of modern humans. They were highly skilled engineers, brilliant astronomers, master builders, and inventors, maximizing every tool they had available to them. Which leaves us with one final, kind of haunting thought to consider as we look back at the ruins of these great empires. If so much brilliant ancient knowledge has managed to survive in fragments for thousands of years, how much more has already disappeared forever?